All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome and thank you for coming out. My name is Chris Hine. I'm the Director of Planning and Land Management for Carroll County. We are here this morning for a public hearing regarding a request for a variance from a requirement of Chapter 150 of the Carroll County Code Forest Conservation. The variance request application was submitted by DRS and Associates on November 11th, 2022 for the removal of 4 specimen trees as part of Site Development Plan S20-0030 for the Ethiopian Orthodox Church located at 2239 Bachman Valley Road in Manchester. This project is currently going through the development review process for proposed property improvements, including renovation of existing buildings and construction of new buildings to support the religious establishment. So I just want to note that there's no requirement in state law or in our local code that requires a public hearing for the administrative review of a variance request for this chapter of the county code. However, we were made aware that there is citizen concern regarding this variance request, and we welcome the additional information that you all may provide that's applicable to this decision. So if you wish to testify regarding the facts surrounding this variance request, we ask that you please sign in at the back table. Speakers must talk into the microphone at the center of the room to facilitate audio and video recordings. Please clearly identify yourself, including your name and address for the record. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. And just to note, this is testimony and not a question and answer session. If you do have questions, please feel free to direct them to staff following the hearing. If anyone fails to follow these rules, I may call them out of order and ask them to leave the meeting. So with that, that's my opening statements. Welcome testimony at this point.
Good morning, Macy Nelson. I'm Alex Walter, counsel for the citizens in this case. We have a list of all of our citizens just to streamline the procedure. Alex Walter will give a copy of that to Ms. Moore now. We also submitted a memorandum yesterday, and we have extra copies just in case people needed them. We're submitting those now, and that's a detailed summary of our legal position in this case. And attached to the memorandum are 3 exhibits: the forest plan, the application and decision, and a decision by the hearing examiner in Howard County, along with blow-ups of the exhibits that are embedded into the memorandum. This, Director Hine, as you know, is an application for a variance. The rules for a variance are very precise. We have the criteria set forth in your code. You cited them, but I wanted to highlight 2 key themes. The first theme is we know from the Maryland cases that for a variance, the applicant must prove and the agency must find uniqueness. And uniqueness goes to the characteristic of the land itself. Is there something unique about the land itself that distinguishes it from the land around it? And the evidence of an environmental constraint on the site itself cannot be evidence of uniqueness. It has to be something about a characteristic of the land itself. And Ms. Waltall will take you through that law. The second point, and the rule is clear, that if the agency finds that there is no uniqueness, that's the end of the inquiry. The variance is disapproved. Hypothetically, if the agency were to find uniqueness, you have to consider the undue hardship requirement, which requires the agency to evaluate whether there was any other option that the applicant could have explored to avoid the need for the variance. These are principles in Maryland law which are very precise and frankly are rigorous for an applicant to meet. And Ms. Waltall will take you through the requirements in detail, and then several of our citizens will testify, but they will speak precisely, and this will be an efficient hearing. On behalf of all my clients, we thank the agency for giving this important public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you again so much for having us here. Alex Votov for the record from Macy Nelson's office representing the same clients. So I want to walk through the uniqueness piece as well as the undue hardship piece, what that means in this property. So as Mr. Nelson explained, the property itself has to be unique, and there's several ways you can look at figuring out how a property is unique. And in our brief or in our comments, we go through the different ways you can look at that. The first thing I would like to note is the existence of specimen trees in and of itself cannot be uniqueness. The most obvious reason why is because every property asking for a variance from the Forest Conservation Act would then be considered unique because they have the very resources the Act is trying to protect. So that in and of itself is not sufficient. If you look at other aspects of the land, for example, the topography of the land, and you compare that topography to other properties in the area, you'll see very clearly that there's nothing unique about the topography of this property. There's no steep slopes, there's no unusual elevation, and in fact, when you look at the other properties in the area, and you can see this from our colorful topography exhibit, that's on, I think, page 15. When you compare the topography, you'll see that the elevation on this property is, if anything, less steep, less changes than other properties in the area. So that doesn't make it unique. You can also look at the extent of environmental resources. Again, the existence of environmental resources in and of itself cannot make a property unique. Someone could maybe argue that if you have an exorbitant amount or an unusual distribution of environmental resources, that could make a property unique. We might disagree with that, but even if you were making that argument, here the property does not have an unusual distribution or amount of environmental resources on the site. When you look at the interactive maps imagery and topography USGS map, you'll see that the environmental resources on this site consist of a stream and woodland, and that almost every other property in this area also has that stream going through it and also has woodland around that stream. And in fact, this property is less burdened by those resources than other properties. The resources are very narrowly concentrated on the western edge of this property, and this property is 25 acres. So they have plenty of room that's not burdened by environmental resources, especially compared to other properties in the area. And the property is not unique in shape or size. So for all of these reasons, the property is definitely not unique. And turning quickly to the undue hardship piece. They have to prove that they could not develop the property with a church without removing these trees. And as we've established, the trees are located on the western edge of the property. They have 25 acres to work with. Let's say that maybe 4 of the acres are taken up by environmental resources. I think that's generous, but let's just say it was. They'd have 20 acres to develop a church on. They have not provided any evidence that they could not reconfigure the parking lot or the site design to allow for a church and still preserve these specimen trees. So there's no undue hardship if the variance is denied as well. So thank you so much for your time, and we go into more detail in our brief as well.
Thank you very much.
My name is John Tremeloni. I live at 2047 Bachman Valley Road. And my home is adjacent to a property which is right adjacent to the area that in question, and within 1,000 feet of that area. And I'm strongly opposed to this for the reasons that our lawyers just explained. And for now, I'm going to be adequate. I'm only surprised that this is even up for a question about approving. So thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Mike Hinkle. I live at 4365 Partnership Drive. I am an adjoining property owner. For the record, I want to make it clear that I'm strongly opposed to this project for the reasons set forth by Mr. Nelson and his associate, and for all the reasons set forth in their brief. I strongly oppose this application for a variance, and I respectfully request that the request be denied. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Got a justice for a short person.
Next time we'll ask people to order themselves by height.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing us to be here and to present our case for our opposition to this variance request. My name is Shirley Appleby, and I live at 2045 Bachman Valley Road. I'm a neighbor of John's, so I am fairly close to the property in question, and I am opposed to this project and to allowing this variance to be approved for the reasons set forth by our attorneys, Mr. Nelson and Alex Votal. There are other reasons that I'm opposed to this project, but that's enough for right now. Thank you very much for your time and for listening.
Yes, thank you for coming out. Anybody else who'd like to talk?
All right, my name is Wilbur Glover, 2049 Botman Valley Road. I'm the closest neighbor that can get to their church. I'm opposed to the whole project and the removal of the trees. Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming out.
I only got 3 minutes. Everybody that knows me, it's good to see these folks, and it's good to see you. I will tell you, my name is Charles Mushaw. I live at 2427 Ebbvale Road. I have a very clear view of the project. I am strongly opposed to the project for a number of reasons which you've addressed in the past and will continue to address in the future. However, specifically about this particular application, I am even more aghast and strongly opposed to even the contemplation, but that's their right, and I'm strongly opposed, and under the auspices of the legal team that represents us, I think it is very clear that this particular application should be denied. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Anybody else? Oh, yes. Good morning.
My name is Darlene Black. I live at 2265 Ebbvale Road. Our front of our house faces the back of this property. I am strongly opposed to anything they do there because I've been in my house 35 years, would totally change my view. I agree with everything that the gentleman said, and I thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming out. Anybody else? All right, very good. So again, oh, I'm sorry, please.
My name is Judy Gear. My husband and I, Jim, live at 2300 Bachman Valley Road, and our property faces the entrance, the farm lane that gives access to this property. We are totally opposed to this project. Much of the traffic that we see going in and out is a concern. So please deny the request.
Right. Thank you very much. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you all very much. Appreciate you taking the time to come out and testify towards this request. I will leave the record open for the next 10 days. So if anybody wants to reach out either through email or through more formal correspondence, that's more than welcome. But I'll keep the record open for the next 10 days because we want to get all the information from all of you in making this decision. When the record closes, which would be November 18th then, 10 days from now, I will document my findings and make a decision. I will make every effort to have that done by December 6th so that this does not drag out. That information will be available by request to the Bureau of Development Review, but I can certainly forward that to your council. An appeal of my decision may be made to the Board of County Commissioners if you so wish, per section 150.16 of the Carroll County Code. So that would be the next step if my finding is not to your interest or if any stakeholder has a differing opinion of what my decision is. So with that, one last chance, anybody? All right. With that, we'll adjourn the hearing. Thank you all for coming out.